do, so we can learn and try to avoid it. So let's have a look at the effects of anger on health, and we see what kind of effects it has.
News tonight about anger and what anger really does to your heart and your health long after the moment is decided. There is a big new study tonight, and it is a wake-up call. So here's ABC's Mara Scalacampo. Anger can have a powerful effect on our behavior. And as it turns out, our bodies. That new study finding losing your temper could lead to a heart attack or stroke. Harvard researchers looked at studies from around the world and found having an angry outburst makes you almost 5 times more likely to have a heart attack and more than 3 times more likely to have a stroke. And it's not just in the moment you blow your top. The risk lingers up to 2 hours after you become enraged, and even if you hold the anger inside.
Does this confirm what I think a lot of people kind of think intuitively, but you're never really sure, that your emotions can have an effect on your physical state and well-being?
I think absolutely. I mean, I think your intuition is right, that the mind and the body are connected and on various organ systems, but certainly for cardiac.
Here's what happens. When you scream in anger, your brain triggers the release of adrenaline into the bloodstream, causing blood vessels to constrict, raising blood pressure, and making it harder for the heart to pump. Doctors say the more angry outbursts you have, the more you're putting yourself at risk. And the effects are even worse for people with existing health problems like cardiovascular disease or diabetes. Adding, it's crucial to cool off in the heat of the moment by taking deep breaths, walking away from the situation, and counting to 10. A cooler head and a healthier heart. Mara Scalacampo, ABC News, New York.
So doesn't that video alone want you to practice patience? Just from watching that, right? Yeah, we see how crazy they're losing their temper, and also the damage on our heart that we can't see. So it's pretty frightening, actually. So let's read a story here from Something You Forgot, number 31. Can I get a volunteer? They can stand up near the screen, or if you can read it from the desk.
Count to 10 when angry, or you may find yourself weeping alone. A zoo hippopotamus became pregnant. Her keepers waited for the birth, but when the time came, to their great disappointment, the baby hippo was stillborn. In searching for the reason, they found that when the mother was transferred to a different room during her pregnancy, she had for some reason gone berserk with anger, and this episode had resulted in the death of the fetus. I remember being shocked on reading this account of needless tragedy in the newspaper. Anger, it seems, releases toxins into the system that can destroy physical health.
Somebody else? How about next?
The effects of anger on humans are just as disastrous. One often hears accounts of street quarrels that turn into fights in which someone collapses in rage before ever landing a blow. And there is a famous story of an eminent priest who spent 40 years reciting the Lotus Sutra only for all the merit so painstakingly acquired to be lost in a moment's angry outburst. When blood rushes to the head in a fit of anger, we may say and do things we never dream of ordinarily, and as a result, find ourselves standing alone in a charred wasteland, weeping bitter tears. But if in the moment of anger we take a second to think why we are outraged, what it is that so upsets us, our indignation often melts away. If you have been attacked, even though you are in the right, there is no need to blame your attacker. Eventually, he is bound to come around and beg your forgiveness. No one is a match for the truth. If you discover that you are in error, then follow the proverb, it's never too late to mend. swift steps to correct the matter and improve yourself. To defend yourself furiously, even though you are wrong, is the height of folly. Aftermath of anger is fury. So when you get angry, count to 10. And when someone else gets angry, steer clear of him or her. This is the wise counsel of ancients.
You. Both of you. So count to 10. Get angry. And run away from somebody else. Right? This is the wise counsel of ancients. So it's good advice there. Anything jump out about anybody in the story? I thought the hippopotamus was a very interesting thing, right? That she was her, yeah, the baby died. So somehow the baby died, right? You feel? And some people who are almost getting into a fight before they even land a blow, they drop it. It just shows how pretty crazy, right? So the heart can't take too much, you know. The vessels, like we saw, constrict. And maybe if you've got some plaque in your vessels, then it's goodbye, you know. So this is a Japanese doctor that is very interesting. I want to show this. So we saw how the effects of health, how anger damages our health with the blood vessels. And I want to show this is, he has studied water crystals and how the effects of words and energy affect water crystals. And if you know, we're 20% made up of it. I talked about this last bit, it's brief. But he showed that specifically that when we say, and we say nice words and we have peaceful energy coming out of us, the water crystals are beautiful. When we have angry thoughts, like we say, you fool, I will kill you, I hate you, you can see the difference. He has shown this in studies over and over and over again. It's amazing. So kindness is the top line, these beautiful designs. This is how ugly it gets when we have ugly feelings, anger. So they're totally distorted. This is what it's doing to our bodies when we get angry and disturbed and we have angry thoughts and we say bad things. This is what it's doing to us when we speak kindness, when we say good things, when we think good things too, and we say thank you. So just looking at this alone, if you kept this picture in your pocket, when you get angry, just pull it out, have a look at it. Maybe it'll stop you from being angry, right? Yeah, it's amazing. This is so impressive. His studies are just incredible. So the more we learn about these things, the more we become inclined to stay away from doing bad things and practice more acts of the 6 good deeds. And patience is one of them. So there's also, anger isn't all that terrible. There's sometimes anger is given a bad rap for everything, but there's actually productive anger and there's unproductive anger. I think you all know what productive anger is, right? Don't you feel that sometimes when you get angry, you get stuff done? Don't you? Can you give me an example? When was the last time you got like all kind of fired up and you actually went and cleaned the house or something? Right?
You know, like if I come home and my dog did diarrhea on my kitchen floor, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm not mad at the dog, you know, part of it's my fault too. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna clean this, I'm just gonna clean everything. So.
Yeah, anger, there's a song, anger is an energy. So it's how you direct that energy. Are you going to move it to somewhere good? Or are you going to move it towards destruction? Oftentimes, the anger goes towards destruction because it's uncontrolled. It's just like out of control. But as the song goes, anger is an energy. How do we use that energy? We can use it for something good too. So productive anger can be a good thing. So we can get upset at people that we see maybe outside doing bad things like littering, and without confronting them, we can say, "Hey, pick up that."
Just
Don't-
did that right before here at the park. This lady walked by the car and threw a cup on the ground and I told her. And then I went and picked it up because she wouldn't pick it up.
Awesome. Right. But who knows? Next time she will think twice about it. If she didn't do it this time, right? Maybe. Yeah. Good. So it's controlled anger. How about with those who have children? I know they can be crazy sometimes. They can be a pest, and we can lose our patience around kids, right? But when we scold kids, we have to do it in a proper way, right? Scolding a child to teach them not to do the wrong thing, but to do the right thing. But it's controlled anger, right? It is said to scold a child with tears in your eyes. Why do you think we learned that? Scold with tears in your eyes. What do you think that means, Teresa?
Well, it will show that you're being intentional, you care. You're not just scolding to just scold. There is a purpose of why you're telling your child that. So like it hurts you as a parent, but you sometimes have to do it. So just having heart and knowing what you're doing.
Right, very good. Yeah, because the eyes show the soul, and if the kid sees really sincere, that you're not just being angry, yeah, they will learn a lesson. I think so. It's really good. So this is actually kindness, scolding with sincerity, because you're thinking of the long term, right? So how about unproductive anger? I think we all know this pretty well. Anger, this is what we're going to learn about anger, because we're trying to satisfy desire. And because I don't get what I want, I get angry. Example, crimes of passion. It is always selfish in nature. We see them on television every night, 2020, ID, whatever. There's all these stories of people who don't get what they want, whether it's money or some kind of partner or fame, or whatever. They don't get it and it blows up. And they get angry and they do terrible things because of this. So this is really selfish anger. This is uncontrolled anger, destructive anger. It's not productive. It's the other way. It's destructive and it destroys the person's life who does it, and it destroys the life of the person that's in the way. How about scolding children by venting your anger? That's a bad one, right? That's, you're an adult and you basically attack a child because you can't control your anger. And you are not helping the child. You're actually damaging the child. Okay? So nowadays, they're getting much more strict on this, especially here in the States. We're learning about child abuse. And so there's a lot of protection for the children. And they need it because children are small. Adults are, adults. And, when you hit a child, we are damaging them. So this is unproductive anger that goes towards damaging and destroying things and people. Something that we should avoid as often as we can. So we learned about this one here. What does Buddhism teach about this? What are sources of anger? This one here is because I don't get what I want, because of my desires. My desires get interrupted, so I get angry. This is what Buddhism teaches. So we think patience is painful and getting angry feels good, right? it feels good to blow off steam sometimes. Practicing patience is enduring our anger, and therefore it's very hard to do. So in the moment, practicing patience is difficult. Being angry is very, very easy. You blow off steam, actually. But in the long run, it's the opposite. It's a really short-term mentality to think anger is good and patience is bad. It's in the long run, it's only damaging. So it's easy to do what we feel like doing. This is called desire in Buddhism. Doing good deeds is not easy, such as doing patience, because it goes against our desire. It's easy to be dirty, or late, or to spend money. These are desires, but it's hard to be clean. It's hard to be on time. It's hard to control. When you see something nice in the shop, oh, I want to get that. But do I really need it? It's hard to put your money back in your pocket, right? Yeah, so this is controlling our desires. It's not easy. Our desires want to be, don't want to clean up, don't want to be on time. So let's have a look at desire, and maybe we can understand where our troubles come from, how we get upset. Buddhism teaches that anger arises when our desires are interrupted, or with the attitude that I am right and you are wrong. So these are two instances. Maybe there's others, but these are just two that we will have a look at tonight. When desire is interrupted, and if we're thinking that I'm right, you're wrong, this is going to cause trouble. When desire is interrupted. Now, Buddhism teaches us 5 kinds of desires. And you got 5 pictures here. So for those people who are kind of new, I'd like you to, so Pete and Yuichi know, the 2 teachers know, back know, 4 here, not you, to point out what are these. Let's have a look at these 5 desires if you can tell. What's this one up here, do you think?
Money.
Wealth.
Money, wealth.
Money,
How about this one here? Actually, no, so this one here.
Sleep.
Sleep. Okay, how about this one?
Food. There's a special word for
What is it?
like food.
Food, yes. How about, this is more difficult, that one there.
Fame.
Spain.
Okay. Very good. How about
Romantic relationships.
love, romance? Very good. You understand the pictures very well. Food, wealth, sensual desires, and leisure and sleep. So these are the 5 desires. When these desires are interrupted, then we get angry. So this is an example, a horrible example that happened in Covina in California in 2008. Some of you might know about it, and it kind of summarizes our desires getting interrupted, and then something really bad happening because of this happening.
Bruce and Sylvia Pardo had just finished a bitter divorce. The 43-year-old woman was hoping for better times, says her friend Roxanne Harrigy.
What did she have that he could have wanted? She had nothing. She came home, put her clothes in her car, kids, literally. He had the house, he had the cars. I mean, what could he have wanted?
Sylvia had even invited Roxanne to her family's Christmas party this year.
It has changed for us at the last minute because my parents came to visit, so we couldn't go, but we wouldn't have had a chance.
A fateful decision, because authorities say Sylvia and 8 other family members were gunned down by her ex-husband Bruce. Their bodies then torched by a fire he started at their house in the Los Angeles suburb of Covina. Police say Pardo barged in on the party Christmas Eve clad in a Santa suit which he bought from a designer.
You know, when I first heard it, I knew he was wearing a Santa suit and I knew who he was because I had seen him more than one time. So, but I didn't think anything of it until they were saying that he used the Santa suit and put stuff in the Santa suit, like guns and whatever he used. And then it kind of freaked me out thinking that Murray had planned this for a long time.
Jerry Dion says Pardo appeared to be a decent man. He had bought and rented from her costume store before. He had even shared a family picture with her from Halloween.
Well, like I said, he stopped here, he ushered it at the church across the street, he stopped here a couple of times and knocked on the door and said, hi, how are you, how's your dog, and mine's fine, you know, and da-da-da, and, you know, just a nice guy.
Pardo lived in this house in Montrose, California. Waitresses in the neighborhood cafes knew him by his first name. But behind this facade, police describe a calculating killer who planned the massacre of his wife and her family for months. Harrigy says the Pardos became estranged after Sylvia discovered Bruce was father to a disabled child who he had abandoned.
I have to deal with like how it happened, what, you know, my friend was feeling at that moment, the terror, just, you know. The last thing you want your friend to do is to be sad and to be scared. And with her mom, how horrific.
Police say Pardo killed himself outside his brother's house after committing the murders. Investigators add he may have even been targeting his own mother and his ex-wife's lawyer too.
That's enough. Yeah, it's quite disturbing. That's apparently he, you know, he got divorced. His wife divorced him, and he owed her a lot of money, and he didn't like it, and but very unhappy. So he decided to wipe everybody out. So this is desire, the desire for money you don't want to give, right? When he was married to her, she had 3 children from a different marriage. And when they got married, he wouldn't have, he demanded that they have separate bank accounts. And he demanded that she take care of her 3 children. And he didn't want to give her any money. And then he owed her, at the divorce, he owed her $1,700 a month. And it was too much for him. Just what happened. So a decent guy, the neighbors say, right? He looks decent, friendly, but yet because of the anger, literally, it burned down a house, right? A rage. So that's the potential that, yeah, is in anger when our desires are interrupted. So this was kind of a famous story back in 2007, or infamous story. So the next one is, I am right and you are wrong. Though we sometimes have this attitude. Yeah, we think that we are doing the right thing, and then when we see somebody else doing it a bit differently, we think we get kind of angry, don't we? Why are you doing it this way? Don't do that, do this. We think that we are right. My way is right. My way or the highway. He learned that word. Yeah, my way or the highway. I'm right, you're wrong. Right? So when we have this kind of attitude, arguments are bound to arise. Nobody likes to be told that they are wrong, right? No one likes to be looked down on. We don't like it when we feel that somebody else is, that they think that they are better than me. So I am right, you are wrong. We should try to avoid this kind of attitude if we want to keep the peace in our relationship. So how about methods of coping with anger? Let's have a look at this. So we could have this little thing here from Circle Group, says kind of thoughts in our head. I'm not going to let him or her get to me. I can stay calm. I can find a way to say what I want without anger. It's just not worth to get so angry. I can handle this. I can't expect people to act the way I want them to. People don't have to do what I think is right, right? These last two, I think, are examples of the previous one. Because we don't have to think that just because I do it this way, everybody has to do it this way, right? If we can drop that kind of attitude, then maybe we won't be so irritated by somebody else's action. Yeah, so I think these are great. I can't expect people to act the way that I want them to act. So people are not mind readers. Yeah, they don't see what we're thinking. And yeah, so if we don't, what else? Walking away from a bad situation like we learned, count to 10 when angry. Without blaming the other person, tell them what they did hurt you. So if you don't like what someone is doing, yeah, good way, just try and speak up without getting angry. Maybe it's easier said than done when you're angry, right? But it's the best way maybe to let them know. Tell them without freaking out, you know? Easier said than done, right? Anybody got any comments or questions? Feedback so far? How are we all doing?
I like the last two. Sometimes I get caught up, especially like at work. You know, I think people should know what I want them to do. Get frustrated, you know. So this will be good for me, like to practice at work.
Yeah, I like these last two as well.
The last two are my favorite.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other feedback? Okay, great. So this one. This is another method of that we're going to actually practice in a little bit. When everyone is in the wrong, there are no quarrels. The secret of a happy home life. Would you agree to like to read?
Sure.
Sam?
When everyone is in the wrong, no quarrels. No quarrels. The secret of a happy home life. Family that was always at loggerheads lived side by side with a family that was as peaceful as could be. A, the head of the quarrelsome family was mystified by how well everyone get along next door. Finally, one day he called on B and said in desperation, "Our family is always quarreling, as I am sure you can tell, and I don't know what to do about it. I see that everyone in your family gets along beautifully. Please tell me what your secret is." B replied, "There's no secret in particular. It's probably because everyone in your family is always in the right. Over here, all of us are always in the wrong. So there's no quarrel. That's all there is to it." Certain that he was being ridiculed, he was about to explode in anger when a loud crash sounded from in the house. It sounded as if a piece of crockery had fallen to the floor. The voice of a young woman said, panicking, "Mother, I'm so sorry. All because I didn't look where I was going. I went and broke that dish that meant so much to you. It's my fault. Please forgive me." "Nonsense," said the voice of her mother-in-law. "It's not your fault at all. I kept meaning to put the dish away and never got around to it. I never should have left it there in the first place. I'm the one who has to apologize." Then it dawned on me. I get it. Everyone in this family is always in the wrong and said so. That's why there's no quarrel.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
So, yeah, good example, right? If we can all just say, "Oh no, it was my fault." Can you imagine how many arguments would just like disappear into thin air? Great technique. All right, look and see how we're doing on time. I think this is a good time to take a break. We'll come back and do some role playing. So how about we take 10 minutes?
Okay.
8:02.
We want to start the second half at 8:02.
Try. Sure. Thank you.
There's lots of food outside. People donate.
Hi, Teresa.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Is that the microphone?
Yeah, wireless mic.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
Okay. So you work from morning to this time? All day? Okay. Can I get you? Eat on it. Okay.
そうですね。そうですね。Yes. Please change ありますか？
ちょっと。できますね。OK。バッテリーがないので。
そうですね。わお。 はい。はい。えーっと。
And but when we express how hurt we are, oftentimes the other person they drop their defensive barriers, right? And they open up and they say, "Oh well, you know." Then you can have conversation. When we blame, it's very hard to have a kind of a conversation. And then the last one, when we're admitting that we were wrong, when you have two people are saying that, then there's no argument at all. You end up smiling at each other, more or less. So, yes. So good ways. So if you want to, yeah, great job. Hope you learned something from that. So I've also noticed that some people, there's different grades of everybody who is able to express their feelings, and some people who find it more difficult. So I think we all kind of learn. Maybe it's people to practice it, but it takes practice, right? When we have a confrontation, even though we were only practicing here, sometimes it can be a little awkward, right? Even though we're just kind of role playing, but yeah, it's good practice anyway. So this is, so we learn about anger, and when we do something, when we blow up in anger, when we're not thinking, the result oftentimes isn't very, very good. And I want to show you something about how anger is in a lot of regret. So this is a true story.
This is a story every family needs to hear. This is a story about one big mistake. This is Stephen Ellis. And this is his story that he hopes to remove all human willingness to think before they act. And is in the shooting death of 17-year-old Spencer Crawford, a good student, weeks away from the start of his senior year at Parkland High School. He was convicted of killing Spencer. He's serving 2 life sentences. Tina is serving 25 years. And what it costs beyond the Seattle. Separated from everyone and everything he dearly misses. Seems only 5 times before July 2010, clearly, that's what he wants teens to understand. Even if you've never been in trouble before, acting recklessly just once because you're angry, thinking that one bad choice can land you here. And he says he never intended to lose Spencer, who you consider a friend. And home, gone. It's a lot to miss. Mom has not until late last week, and I invited her to talk about this piece, talk about what Stephen had to say, and she has a message for Stephen, and that she will share with you tomorrow night.
Yeah, very tragic story. Very young fellow, just one bad choice moment. The commentator said it was over money and a girl. We learned about money and romance in the 2 desires, right? Anger. So it's ruined 3 lives there. So it's very terrible. So patience then is so important in these situations, right? If we think, you know, this guy is telling us to be patient, telling us to think that cool head, because we can destroy everything in just a moment of anger. There's many stories that, you know, happened that he just had 1 ticket for littering previously, in jail for 25 years. Bad choice. So, you know, that we're patience is our life instinct for good, but oftentimes to make the good happen, it takes a lot of, got to plant a lot of good actions. For something bad to happen, it can be just one thing, and it can wipe out all of that, right? Yeah, so you need to be aware. So developing patience then is a real, you know, tough thing. if we can do it, if you make a concerted effort to be more patient in relatively inconsequential short-term situations, you'll gradually develop the strength to remain patient in even the most trying and enduring situations. I like this. It reminds me that if you go to the gym, you know, you don't start off with the heavy weights, you start off with really light weights, and then you build up to the larger weights. So also, if we're not good at patience, this is telling us to, you know, practice in little situations, and then we can develop. Yeah, it's good. There's hope, right? So there's lots of places to practice patience every day. I think we can, and then hopefully we can become masters of patience and make our life great. So this is another little story from Something You Forgot. Our struggle is in the end a struggle with the self, a struggle that must be carried on. Like muscle training, developing the soul is an extremely painful process. And tangible things may get stolen, disintegrate, break, disappear. The invisible treasure of the soul is indestructible. Whatever pain you suffer will be rewarded in full. Wonderful fruits will be yours. I said at the beginning that practicing patience is not easy. It's painful. It's painful to stand in line when you're done, right? Or you want to eat and you got a big line. So whatever, but this story is telling us that whatever pain you suffer will be rewarded and will not go unnoticed. Endure, it says, endure and persevere. This is the wise masters of Buddhism telling us to do that. It will not go unrewarded. That's what they're saying, right? Maybe we cannot see it in the moment, and we feel irritated. Patience is just growing, and we're not going to get anything from it. Whatever pain you suffer, it's a sixth good deed. It's one of the 6 good deeds. So when we practice it, for sure, it's going to come back to us. We will be rewarded, and in a beautiful way as well. That's the best thing about it. It will come back to us, but in a wonderful way. It might not come back to us today or tomorrow, or even next week, or even next month. It will come back to us in a wonderful way, is what this story is telling us. Eventually, something great will happen to us. So this is the virtue of practicing the 6 good deeds. Kindness, keeping your promise. They're all invisible actions that will accumulate back to us. Beautiful. So this should be motivation to practice these. So I want to on here, patience. Little thing about, we're going to end on patience. It's a little animation that I have here that I found. This is about the wonderful fruit of patience. Did everybody see the story? Y'all got it? Yeah. Kind of cool. So, patience is a virtue. For sure, the results don't know maybe how the results will come of our patience, but for sure it's telling us that we learn in Buddhism that the results, the good results, will come. For this person, it was a job. And many people would have waited for 2 days to download a file. Maybe he was the only one who got the job, right? But it's maybe it shows us that, patience does lead to good results. So, yes, I want to we're almost finished. So in summary, patience is a good deed, is a virtue, but difficult to do. Why? Because it goes against our desire. Right? The opposite of patience is anger. It's interrupted. We get angry. Buddhism also teaches that anger erupts when we think that I am right and you are wrong. So we did the role playing and we learned about how, we can interact with people that can diffuse a situation. And, the aftermath of anger is also regret and feeling bad or destroying a life, as we saw in the really sad video clip of that young fellow. You saw how sad he was, right? It was terrible, very regretful. There are many techniques we can use to control anger, like we said, counting to 10 or running away, or what were the two things that we saw at the end of that? Do you remember what they were? The bottom, yeah. Anybody know what they were? Yeah. We should not expect people to think the way that I think. What I think is right, other people think is right also. Something like that. And patience can be developed like muscle training. So even if we're terrible at patience right now, tonight, even a little thing will start to build it up, and soon we'll have big patience muscles. So it's 8:30 on the dot. Well, great. So I hope you learned something. So thank you for, I would love to talk to you more, but we've run out of time. I would love to get your feedback, but that's all.